Moe Z. Hey, what's up? It's Moe Z Md, legendary producer. Some of y'all know me from the Tupac days. I just want to tell you a couple of stories about how I met him and how it went down and everything, and answer some questions y'all might have.
Can you start off by telling us how you initially got hooked up with Tupac?
Oh yeah, I was producing my homeboy from Long Beach, OG Radio, and he was on Interscope Records, and I guess Pac was looking for, looking around for new producers and such, and he heard some of my material, so he had them call me and do a couple of remixes to see if they liked what I was giving. So they shot me like 3 remixes: Lord Knows, Running from the Police, and From the Cradle to the Grave. And I took those into Sound Castle Studio and started doing some doctoring work on them. And so he heard those and loved it so much that he asked them to fly me out to New York to work with him in the studio. But he wanted to hear some beats so he could write to. So I put a whole bunch of beats on cassette and a couple other producers I was dealing with and send it to him. And it's a funny story because with Outlaw, the original beat was for an R&B song. It was for a guy I was working with. And I had it on the end of the cassette. And I didn't know this at the time. When we got to New York, I'm going through my discs of programs and sounds and everything. And is this the one? Is this the one? He's like, no, it's not that one. It's not that one. Finally, he told me, played the cassette. And I went, oh, wow. I said, hey, man, that's the R&B. That's the R&B beat. And he said, well, it's a rap now, nigga. And so we started recording the song and everything, and it took about 3 hours. Laid the beat. Him and the young thugs, they were called at the time, the Outlaws. They went in the booth and started recording it, and it was like very, very, very fast, but it was very efficient. He knew exactly what he wanted, and we gelled together, and I knew what I wanted, and he let me. And most artists, this is why I say let. Most artists don't let you give them direction, but he made sure that everyone said, "Hey, listen to Moe Z because he knows what he's doing and he has a direction for us." And we worked on that song and made this long 7-minute version. And the guy that's doing the game ain't the same. He was like rambling at the end, just on and on and on. And then Pac did an ad lib at the end that was like freestyle, but he was rhyming and such, and everybody was just bugging out. And we left, and he said this is gonna be on the album. This is definitely gonna be. It might be first single, and I'm thinking, wow, it's a lot of. It's real raw. I couldn't imagine it being a single, but he had a vision of his own, and it's funny at the time that we were there, the record label was corresponding back and forth with him about From the Cradle to the Grave. They loved it, and they said they wanted to put it on the album and make it the album version and not the remix. And it was a very, very exciting thing because it was the next thing happened, Thug Life album, and it was going to be the first single. And they shot a video to it, and it was just, man, I loved it. It was great. It was like a wonderful experience working with him, man.
Okay, I'd like to move on now. Maybe you could explain a little bit about Tupac's work ethic, what he was like in the studio, when he heard one of your beats, what did he do, how did he write to it, what was his process like?
Well, we were like 2 lab technicians, because I would be formulating the music and he would, shoot me ideas, and he would just be excited, just bouncing around the room, just excited with his notepad and dancing around, and I'm dancing around because that's, when I work and stuff, I dance around and stuff too. And it was so much energy, you could feel the wind just moving around the room. The engineers were like moving and going and, and enjoying it. It was real cool. He was very serious about what he was doing, very focused, and he wasn't like fidgeting with his phone or going out to to use the phone all the time. And he was just always like, let's go, let's go. And when I was working on something, if he was done doing what he was doing, 90% of the time he had 2 other producers in 2 other rooms at Soundcastle where he would go in and write something for them. Like, go ahead, Moe Z, you do your thing. I'll be back. Come back in a few hours and we'll start on something else. And like, cranking it out. I don't know how he would never sleep. He would just go, 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 go. Bounce back and forth. Back and forth. And I mean, I was tired. I was getting beat. The engineers were getting beat. They were switching second engineers and stuff. He was still going.
What was your most memorable moment working with Tupac?
I think it was when I first met him, and we were in that quad studio in New York where he got shot, in the very studio he was trying to get to. And we were all waiting in the room for me and the engineers and stuff. And he walked in with the Young Thugs and was pumped up. Like, he shouted my name like, Moe Z! And was amped up, gave me a big hug, like we knew each other. And said, standing there looking like Dr. Dre. I was like, I don't look like Dr. Dre, but I had on this Pendleton and I had on this Long Beach hat, you know, and I kind of looked like Dre did in that one video with Snoop. But I guess he was just like pumped up about it.
Can you give us kind of a rundown of a lot of the songs that you produced for Tupac?
Yeah. It's kind of foggy, it's been a while, but the ones that were mine that I produced that were on the albums were Outlaw, Young Niggas, and From the Cradle to the Grave. Even though I did it as a remix, it was completely mine. Now, the reason I say that because the other songs I want to mention, I either just remixed or I was brought in on the session to do little things. And that would be like Running for the Police, Lord Knows, I did the original Do for Love, and Throw Your Hands Up. I did for the album, but they put it on Panther's soundtrack for the movie Panther. I did remixes of Dear Mama, Temptations. I did a few remixes for it. And in the late night, I did a second version of that. That actually got redid like 4 times, I believe, because they ended up putting it on All Eyes on Me, and I did the second version of that. A lot of people don't know that a lot of times a record label would take songs that he did with other producers and have different producers come in to either fix it up or completely redo it. So that was part of their process of getting the best that they could get. You know. And If I Die Tonight, the part where it goes, tonight's the night I get in some shit, where they sample Dr. Dre. That was my idea, because my engineer was mixing it, and I came in and threw that in. And gosh, so much other stuff I can't really put my finger on. But like, they really had me involved in a lot of the process. I helped put together the sequence of the album as well. And yeah.
So if people enjoyed what you did on Tupac's albums, maybe you could tell us a little bit about some of the other people that you've worked with. Maybe a little rundown of your resume.
Sure. Well, I had a song with Spice One on Tales from the Hood soundtrack, as well as my group NGN. And I did some work with John Mellencamp band. I did some co-production, and I was in the band for 6 years with touring and everything. And I did some work with the Wallflowers and went touring with them for about a year and a half. And I did some work with, I did like a tour with Earth, Wind & Fire. This was back in '88, singing in the choir on one song, Touch the World, and that's the name of the tour they were on to. And I sang with Michael Bolton for one particular gig, and a bunch of one-offs with a few people. And I did some work with Michael Jackson, and the list just keeps growing.
So could you tell us a little bit about what you're working on currently?
Yeah, sure. Actually, I've been known to multitask and have my hands in everything at the same time. I'm working on a solo album, and it's actually 2 solo albums at the same time. One is an R&B and one is a hip hop. And my main focus for doing that is because I have several artists that I'm bringing out under my label, Funk House. And the label's been around forever. It's even on Tupac. If you look on the credits on Me Against the World, you'll see Funk House Records. Because I'm constantly trying to bring someone to the forefront. So I'm doing these albums to try to get these artists going. And there's several R&B singers, rappers, and producers, young producers. We'll get more into detail about that later. But yeah, be on the lookout, because I'm still working. Still got things, big things, little things, about to be big things, all still going, baby.
All right, Moe Z Md, thank you so much.
Sure enough. And look out for me, because it's going to be a lot of things happening. The past was good, but the future is greater.